I hate being a single mom. Even saying it out loud feels cringe because sometimes people hear single mother talk about how hard life is and assume that she must not love her children. Absolutely not. I love my children, our jokes, our traditions, and the little moments that make us who we are. But if I'm being honest, the parts of single motherhood I do not like. I don't like carrying so much alone. I don't like always being the one who has to remember schedules, pay, plan things out, figure everything out. Then sometimes still have energy to enjoy my life and my children. So lately, I've been asking myself a different question. Instead of pretending this isn't hard, what can I do to make this life easier? Maybe I can't change every circumstances surrounding single motherhood, but I do believe we can change some of the systems around it. Hey y'all, welcome back to Still Chosen, the Bold Believer podcast. I'm your host Tara, and we are now on episode 56. Today we're getting real because I want to talk about something I've had a hard time admitting. Motherhood is cool, but I don't love doing it alone. Now, stay with me. I'm not saying I don't love being a mother. What I'm saying is that loving motherhood and loving the experience of doing it alone are two different things. So, I love watching my children grow. I love our conversations, our traditions, and the moments that remind me how special it is to be their mother. Like, there are moments when they do something, and I'm like, yeah, that's from me. But single motherhood includes responsibilities I would not have chosen to carry alone. When something happens at school, when someone is sick, needs an appointment, forgets something, or needs emotional support, I'm usually the one that's figuring it all out. Last November, I had surgery on my knee and I had help for my children for about 3 days. It left me having to drive them to three different locations and forfeit my medicine until I got back home so that they can go to school. And you want to know why? Because I am the mom. And so sometimes I find myself thinking, okay, but who was coming to help me? I think single mothers need permission to say that without feeling guilty. You can be grateful for your children and acknowledge that raising them without a consistent partner, it's hard. Two things can be true. And I do love my children deeply. And there are parts of raising them alone that exhaust me. Acknowledging the second does not cancel out the first. So, what makes me frustrated isn't only that single motherhood is hard, it's the expectation we should simply accept the struggle as part of life. You're a single mom, so of course you're tired. Of course you're overwhelmed. Of course you're carrying everything. But I don't want struggle to become my identity. I don't want to wake up every day thinking, this is just how life has to be. So I'm learning to ask different questions. Can I create systems for this? Can I prepare differently? Can I ask for help? Or can I stop doing something altogether? Because y'all know I be extra sometimes. Or can I make this easier? I'm not trying to avoid responsibility. I'm trying to make my life no harder than it needs to be. Because surviving single motherhood isn't enough for me anymore. I want to actually enjoy that life. Okay. I want to enjoy my life. So I'm not coming on this podcast as a woman who has figured everything out. I'm coming as a woman who is actively figuring it out. There are mornings that don't go according to plan. Third day of school, y'all, I was late. Trust me, that did not go unnoticed. My children arrived at school on time, but I was impacted. I have forgotten things such as my children's snacks, my lunch. There are moments when I feel frustrated and I may react negatively to my children. Don't worry, y'all, I put myself in timeout. And then I may have to look at the calendars, the work schedules, the house, the money, dreams, and I think, how am I supposed to do all of this? But I'm becoming more curious about the problem instead of only being frustrated by it. For example, if our mornings are chaotic, maybe I need to prepare more the night before instead of expecting myself to make every decision before breakfast. If I keep forgetting important dates or responsibilities, maybe I need a better reminder system instead of continuing to rely on my memory. And if I'm exhausted from carrying something that another person could help with, maybe I need to ask for support instead of assuming I had to do it on my own. I'm learning to look at the places where single motherhood feels unnecessarily hard and ask, how can I remove some of the friction from our lives? Here's something I'm practicing, and I want you to practice it with me. When something repeatedly feels hard, don't stop it. I'm overwhelmed. Break it down. So, step one would be name it. What specifically is making life difficult? Instead of saying, my whole life is crazy, identify the actual problem. Maybe mornings are chaotic. Maybe you're constantly spending money on takeout because dinner isn't planned. That's me, y'all. That is all me. Maybe you're struggling to keep up with school events or never getting time alone. Name the problem clearly. So, for example, by the 25th of every month, my money is out. What's going on? Step two would be find the friction. So, ask yourself, why does this keep happening? Maybe the problem isn't that you're bad at mornings. Maybe you're making too many decisions in the morning. Your nighttime routine can't afford to incorporate some more steps. So, what are you wearing? What's for breakfast? Where are the shoes? Did you sign that paper? Where's the backpack? Oh, a little side note. Since my children attend the school that I work at, if they're done with their work before we leave campus, oh, those book bags are staying in the car. That's one less thing to worry about. So if your nighttime routine is lacking, then you will notice that by the time you leave the house, you already making dozens of decisions. So maybe the answer isn't to try harder tomorrow. Maybe it's to eliminate some of those decisions tonight. Okay, so step three, create the easier way. What system, routine, boundary, resource, or support will make it easier? Not perfect, easier. Sometimes we create solutions so complicated that the solution becomes another responsibility. I don't need another job. I need relief. Step four would be pay attention to what works. When something helps, pay attention to it. If preparing for the morning the night before makes the day calmer, that matters. If organizing the week in one place helps you feel less scattered, that matters. If asking for help gives you back some energy, that matters. So these may seem like small changes, but small changes can create more room for peace, joy, and connection. Now, this is where I want to spend more time, not presenting a perfect formula, but sharing what I'm actually learning in my own life. I am learning that I can't keep waiting until I'm completely overwhelmed to make a change. I'm learning that asking for help does not make me incapable, it makes me honest about what I can realistically carry. I'm learning that some of the things I thought made me a good mom were actually just exhausting me. Being a good mother does not mean doing every task the hardest possible way. It does not mean never needing support. It does not mean sacrificing every bit of your rest or joy. And I'm learning that making life easier can be very practical. It might look like preparing for the next day before going to bed. It might look like simplifying meals during a busy week. It might look like creating a shared calendar, setting a boundary, or deciding that something does not need to be done right now. These are the things I'm figuring out in real time. I don't have a perfect system to hand you. I'm still paying attention to what works for me and my children, what doesn't, and what needs to change. And I'm going to report back to you on that. Now, there is a bigger issue underneath all of this. I don't want the difficulty of single motherhood to make me miss the beauty of being their mother. I don't want every memory to be me rushing, correcting, searching for something, or trying to get everyone out the door. I want laughter in our house. I want traditions, rest, outings, and ordinary moments that feel peaceful instead of constantly pressured. I want us to enjoy the life we do have. So, yes, doing single motherhood alone is hard for me, but I love being my children's mom. And since this is the life I'm navigating right now, I'm going to keep asking, how can I make it easier? Not because easy means effortless, not because I'm trying to avoid responsibility, but because motherhood is already a responsibility. I don't need to make it unnecessarily harder. So, this weekend, I want you to reflect on your week and identify one thing. Don't overhaul your whole life. Just choose one part of your life as a single mom that consistently stresses you out. Write it down and ask yourself, what is actually making this hard? Then ask, what would make this a little bit easier? Not perfect, not completely solved, just easier. Try one small change and pay attention to what happens. That's what I'm doing too. I'm figuring this out in real time, one adjustment at a time. So, making life easier doesn't mean you're saying, God, I don't need you. Sometimes the wisdom we pray for looks like a system. Sometimes provision looks like community. Sometimes an answer prayer looks like a boundary or the courage to ask for help. James 1:5 reminds us that if we lack wisdom, we can ask God and He gives generously. So that's part of my prayer for this season. I'm asking God to give me wisdom for this life. Show me what I'm carrying and I don't need to carry. Show me what needs structure, what needs help, and what can I change? I am asking God to help me create a life where my children and I aren't merely surviving, but where we have room for joy, peace, and each other. So maybe you're listening today thinking, Tara, girl, I needed somebody to say this. Or you know this message would benefit someone you know. Share this episode. Also, if you have a story or methods that are working for you, share it at stillchosenpodcast@gmail.com. I want to say this here. You are allowed to love your children and admit that doing this without the partnership you desire is hard. You don't have to romanticize the struggle to prove you're a good mom. And you don't have to have everything figured out before you start making things better. One problem, one adjustment, one little bit of ease at a time. And as always, remember, you're not alone. You're still becoming and you are still chosen. Until next time, bye.